Hello, and welcome back to making fan art of things geared towards kids because I miss my childhood even though it wasn't that great, and I really do romanticize it. Part 1. So it's October. That means thousands, maybe millions of people are doing the Inktober challenge. I never really followed the Inktober prompts. I kind of always just did my own thing, but I did tag them with the hashtag Inktober for the hashtag clout. Nowadays, I think Inktober has been cancelled. I'm not very sure on the details, but it's something about plagiarism, I think. Anyways, I decided to draw characters from Monster High for this month's challenge because it just made sense. And these are the sons and daughters of iconic monsters, and they all happen to go to school together. Halloween, monsters, we love. The way this works is I put every Monster High character's name on a randomizer wheel, and each day I spin that wheel and I draw whomsoever pops up. I'm kind of doing a redesign of the characters. For that day, I become an expert on that character. I try to draw them in a way that I think they would or should look if there ever is a reboot. Mattel, call me. I'm also using pretty affordable materials. Like, all of these materials cost me under $8. Like, the most expensive thing I'm using here is my watercolor palette, which is disgusting, by the way. And by the way, this sketchbook used to be like a children's book on the supernatural, but it's been refurbished, if you will, into a sketchbook by this company down here. Actually, you know what? I lied. The most expensive material I'm using, actually, are these Winsor & Newton drawing inks. I really only used them for day 1, but still. I'm not really sure how much they cost though, because they were a gift from my father from that one time that he pissed off my mom and she threatened to divorce him. I really like how they look once they're on the paper. They're pretty smooth to work with, and I think that once I run out of these, I'm gonna have to buy more, and that's gonna cost me a pretty penny. And without further ado, here we go to day 1. The Wheel of Fortune chose Luna Matthews, daughter of the Mothman. I really like this character, even though she had only like 10 lines in one of the movies and that's it. I really like how they made her this small town girl who searches for fame because she's a moth and she loves the spotlight. Her design here is a bit based on the Point Pleasant, West Virginia Mothman statue. I modeled her wings after his, and Mothman is said to have big red eyes, so I translated that into huge red goggles. Her color scheme stayed the same-ish, and her dress has a moth wing pattern on it. Day 2. The Fates chose Elizabeth, Draculaura's BFF from the olden days. The thought process here was just, in the movie, she was running away from her royal destiny, but in the end she accepts it and she becomes a vampire queen of all vampires. So I imagine her being this warrior queen here. And I wasn't really planning on this, but she very much gives me Regina Evil Queen vibes. Here I have her holding the vampire's heart, which, by the way, finding a reference picture for it was a trip and a half. I'm still not sure if it's accurate, but whatever. I also gave her a kind of like a thorn crown that I thought would really complete the look. Day 3. The Wheel of Destiny chose Iris Clops, a Cyclops girl. She's sort of a side character, so I didn't really know too much about her. Apparently, she's really into science, astronomy, and dating minotaurs. I gotta admit, I wasn't really feeling it on this day. The idea here was Cyclops is a Greek monster, so Greek clothing. I also added a lot of tiny eye details because that's kind of her thing. I like what I did with her shoes though. It's like a Greek column on the heel. Day 4. The algorithm chose Cleo Denial's main squeeze, Deuce Gorgon, son of Medusa. So we've got 2 Greek monsters back to back. Deuce seems like a pretty cool dude. He's super chill, he's always nice to people, and apparently he loves to cook. He also has mommy issues, but don't we all? His style is based on punk and skater fashion. I don't really draw guys that much, so I kind of just gave him this Gucci knockoff jacket that has a heart patch with Cleo on it. I do like how his head area came out. And my least favorite part of this is his shoes. What are those, my guy? Day 5. The gods of the wheel chose Kiyomi Haunterly, the faceless ghost. I feel I started off strong with this one, and then I kind of just lost my way. My obsession with outlining in purple Sharpie really steered me wrong this time. So let's unpack. I decided to base her clothing on a kimono Lolita fusion, which does exist. It's a very cute subcategory of the Lolita fashion style. This area where the wrap is actually intentional because only the dead can have their kimono wrapped right side over left, and she is dead. I think my problem is here in the skirt. Like at one point I thought it needed some kind of pattern, but I ended up not liking it too much. I like everything above the waist though. Like I love the hair and the face. And then the rest is just 5 out of 10. I kind of like the shoes though. I put little masks on them. So like the thought was there. It's just the execution was shoddy at best. Day 6. The wheel chose Winona Spider. No relation to any Winonas or any writers out there. She's apparently Arachne's daughter. I did not know that, and I always assumed that she was just like an anthropomorphic Black Widow spider. I read that she's really into comic books, especially superhero ones, and she's even made a superhero OC named Webberella. I based this look on that OC, kind of. I changed the design slightly. Also, to get this pose, I looked at old Spider-Man comic books. Winona is another side character that we don't really know too much about, but I do like her design a lot. Apparently she's an amazing multitasker because she has 6 arms. It was a bit of a challenge to figure out what each of her hands were doing, but I do like how it ended up. Also, she's a crime fighter who has a spiderweb whip, who fights in a stiletto heel. We love. And so, the week comes to a close with Operetta, the Phantom of the Opera's daughter. I love this character so much. I had to try harder with her. I really did. She's like this badass who listens to no man and who prefers to hang out underground in the catacombs alone. I love that for her. So her style is very 1950s rockabilly. I looked at a lot of clothes from back then. I based her face off of Betty Page, kind of. And I gave her this musically themed dress. Her main motifs have always been music notes, piano keys, and like spider webs. So I tried to incorporate that a lot. This pose I based it off of Elvis Presley, mostly because she's like a huge fan of Elvis. And this is probably why I also like her, because as a kid, I stand Elvis so much. My first CD was an Elvis and Friends CD, and my parents have said that had I been born a male of the male persuasion, my dad would have probably named me Elvis, because he's a sociopath that way. When I watched Lilo and Stitch and saw that Lilo loved Elvis too, I felt so seen. I felt like my story was being told. And then years later, I learned about all the shitty things Elvis did in his life, and I was heartbroken. So yeah, I gave her a leather jacket because I feel she would really rock one, and it would probably have some cool spider design on the back. As for her shoes, I left them pretty much the same, except that I changed the heel shape into a spider web shape. And then finally, I added her pet, Daddy-O Longlegs. She's hands down my favorite drawing of the week. This was where using a purple Sharpie to outline really paid off. As for my least favorite drawing, I'm sorry girl, but it's Iris Clops. I didn't get the character, I wasn't feeling it, and I feel it came out too basic, a bit too generic, and I promise to do better in the future. And so this is where I leave you. See you next week with my next batch of 7 character drawings. I'm on a roll, so I don't think I'm gonna give up on this challenge, hopefully. So as always, please wear a mask, stay inside if you're not gonna wear a mask, wash your hands. Bye.